Let's now turn to a very important but often underestimated type of warehouse: the returns warehouse. We briefly mentioned this type of warehouse before in the discussion of types of warehouses. Sometimes we find distribution centers with returns processes. Sometimes we find dedicated returns warehouses that do nothing but take care of returns. Especially in sectors like e-commerce, fashion, and electronics, returns are not a marginal phenomenon. They are a central part of the logistics strategy. Managing returns properly is not just a technical necessity. It can be a major competitive advantage, or, if mishandled, a significant cost driver. On this slide, you can see the key activities that typically take place in a returns warehouse. And you'll also notice a graph that shows which product categories are most frequently returned in online shopping. We'll go into both aspects step by step. First, let's talk about why returns are so complex and why they require specialized warehouse operations. When a product is returned, it's no longer in pristine original condition. Even if the item itself is untouched, the packaging may be damaged, labels may be missing, or accessories may have been misplaced. Unlike incoming goods from suppliers, which usually arrive in a standardized, predictable way, returns are messy, inconsistent, and often unpredictable. Because of this, handling returns cannot simply be an extension of outbound or inbound logistics. It needs its own dedicated processes, space, and expertise. The first major step in a returns warehouse is a sortation. As returned goods arrive, they must be identified, categorized, and assigned a next step. Not every return is treated the same way. Some items can go directly back into inventory. Others need rework. Some must be discounted, and some are beyond repair and must be scrapped. Sortation is therefore not just about physical sorting, it's about decision making. And it's not just about logistics, but also about aspects like brand image and sustainability, as you can imagine. For example, in a fashion e-commerce operation, you might sort items based on seasonality. If a winter jacket is returned in February, it might make sense to hold it until the next season rather than immediately restocking it. In electronics, returned goods may need a technical assessment to determine whether they are still functional, require repair, or must be sent for recycling. Following sortation, we have the quality and functional check. This step ensures that returned items meet the standards needed for resale. For clothing, this might involve checking for stains, damage, or missing labels. For apparel or fashion, returns are not only common, but also complicated. As a decent person, it is difficult to imagine in what condition customers sometimes return products. It's one thing to check a returned winter jacket. It's another to receive underwear in your returns warehouse and find out whether you can sell it again. While this opens great opportunities for student jobs, you can imagine that those jobs aren't for everyone. Some fashion retailers create profiles of customers and sometimes block them from their online stores when they abuse their right to return orders. For instance, it is common that customers wear a piece of cloth to an occasion and return it afterwards. A customer told me that teenage girls order a bunch of stuff, dress up and play princess or record their TikTok videos, and return the items afterwards. That's a very expensive hobby for retailers to subsidize. Accordingly, companies are using algorithms to detect such customer profiles and blacklist them. For electronics, functional checks can be far more involved, including powering on devices, running diagnostic tests, or inspecting for hidden damage. Especially in high-value sectors like consumer electronics or medical devices, this check can be labor-intensive and requires trained personnel. If the item passes the quality check, we often move on to cleaning. In fashion, this doesn't just mean removing dust. It can involve professional cleaning processes, ironing, folding according to retail standards, and repackaging. In sectors like health and beauty, returned items might have to be sanitized or more often destroyed if hygiene standards cannot be assured. Once cleaned, items need to be repackaged. Original packaging is often damaged or missing altogether. Good returns warehouses have stocks of replacement packaging, branded boxes, inserts, tags to bring returned items back to a sellable condition. This is critical because presentation matters, especially for first-time buyers and in premium segments. A customer receiving a slightly crumpled or incomplete product will likely return it again, causing a vicious cycle of costs. After repackaging, we face the decision of restocking. Not every returned item goes back into active inventory. Sometimes it makes more sense to redirect products to outlet stores, clearance sales, or secondary marketplaces. In e-commerce fashion, for instance, some companies operate their own online outlets for returns that are no longer first-grade merchandise. Some companies destroy all returned goods because of the risk of tarnishing their reputation. Closely tied to restocking is repricing. In many cases, returned goods can no longer be sold at the original price. A product might be downgraded from new to like new, or from A grade to B grade. And imagine what this means for low price, fast fashion products. A piece of cloth that sells for €5 new doesn't provide lots of potential for further price reductions, and the costs of quality checks and cleaning probably exceed the original sales price of the product, let alone the discounted price. Now let's take a look at the graph on the right side of the slide, which shows the product categories with the highest return rates in online sales. Of course, these rates differ greatly from company to company, but they show a tendency. Clothing and shoes are by far the leaders with a return rate of 56%. There are plenty of companies with return rates exceeding 70%. This is not surprising. Sizing, fit, style, these are subjective factors, and without trying the product on, customers often order multiple sizes or styles to choose from at home. In the industry, this behavior is sometimes referred to as bracketing, ordering multiple options with the explicit intention to return most of them. Accessories and jewelry come next at 30%. Here, personal taste plays a big role. A bracelet or necklace might look great online but feel different in real life. Then we see health and beauty products with a return rate of 22%. Returns here are tricky because hygiene regulations often prevent restocking. In many cases, these products have to be destroyed, even if they are unused. And finally, entertainment products, such as books, DVDs, or games, show a return rate of 21%. Although this segment is declining in physical format due to digitization, returns still play a role, especially for gift purchases. If we step back for a moment, we see that returns are a massive issue, not just logistically, but also environmentally and economically. In the fashion industry alone, it is estimated that billions of dollars worth of returned goods are never resold, but end up in landfills or are incinerated. A CNBC article cited on the slide reports that returns represent a $1 trillion problem globally for retailers, and the challenge is growing as online sales continue to increase. Efficient returns management is therefore not a luxury, but a necessity. Companies that fail to handle returns properly face higher costs, damaged brand reputation, and lost customers. Companies that excel in returns management can turn it into a competitive differentiator, offering free and easy returns without losing money, reprocessing items quickly, and minimizing waste. A well-designed returns warehouse is central to achieving this. It needs flexible workstations, trained personnel, IT systems capable of dynamic reclassification and repricing, and close integration with inventory management, fulfillment, and customer service systems. It must operate like a mini factory, turning defective, incomplete, or customer-rejected products back into valuable assets wherever possible. Returns warehouses also need to be able to handle peaks. After Christmas, for example, returns volumes can spike dramatically, requiring temporary staffing, extended operating hours, and dynamic space management. Automation can help, but only to a certain extent. Automated sorters, conveyors, and scanners can support the returns process, but the decisions around product quality, repackaging, and restocking often require human judgment. As artificial intelligence evolves, we may see more machine support in returns operations. For instance, visual recognition of defects or predictive repricing based on machine learning algorithms. One interesting development is the rise of return consolidation centers. Instead of sending each returned item back to the original warehouse or supplier, companies use centralized returns hubs to process, sort, and decide on the next steps. This reduces transport costs and processing times. It's another sign that returns are becoming a logistics domain of their own, no longer just an afterthought to outbound operations.